අපේ කාලයේදී අපේ රටේ ඉතිවූ ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨතම ඇවදී මාර්ගෝපදේශකයන් වන අපේ කල්‍යාණ මිත්‍ර වන්දනාවේ සෝවිත ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ ප්‍රමුඛ සභාවේ නමස්කාර. Venerable Sirs, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, for me, young Asanga Abeyagoonasekera is above all the son of Asanga Abeyagoonasekera, Abeyagoonasekera's right hand man. Asi had earned the trust of Abeyagoonasekera. Abeyagoonasekera trusted him absolutely. Asi, who succumbed to injuries resulting from a terrorist bomb attack in 1994, some 6 years after Abeyagoonasekera was assassinated in February 1988, was a superb public speaker, a mob orator on occasion, par excellence. I will remember the speech he made at Abeyagoonasekera's spectacular funeral. He packed into his short speech the concentrated emotions of a friend and a comrade in arms who had fought great battles together, battles on behalf of peace and reconciliation in this country. At one point in his speech, he said, "Mitravaruni, Mama Sitagana Sitiye, Yam Dinanga, Mage Kuda Malagamedi, Abeyagoonasekera, Mavenuwen, Loku Katawak Karai Kiyana. ඒකයි මගේ අපේක්ෂාව වුණේ. නමුත් අද සිදු වී තිබෙන්නේ ඔහුගේ අති විශාල මලකපති මට සුළු කතාවක් කිරීමේ අභාග්‍ය. ආදි වශයෙන් කියලා ඊට පස්සේ අන්තිමට සුබ රාත්‍රියක් විජය At that time, Asanga was 16 years old, and the impact of his father's tragic death had a profound effect on this young boy. I remember the event so vividly that it is difficult for me to talk without emotion. It was the tragic experience of his father's death under those circumstances which impelled Asanga to dedicate his life to the goal of building a better world order, a peaceful world in which Sri Lanka is a small part. At that point, it was his mother, the great lady, Sarangani, who fulfilled the huge problem, emotional financial and so on of caring for Asanga. And she did this with exemplary dedication and zeal. And Asanga Abeyagoonasekera was educated in the best universities in 3 continents of the world: North America, Asia, and Australia. So, Asanga is naturally greatly in debt to his father and mother, and unsurprisingly, he has dedicated the book to his father and mother, and in his preface he says, "This book is dedicated to the memory of my father, Asanga Abeyagoonasekera, the shining inspiration for my work, who sacrificed his life to create a better nation, and my mother, who showered me with love and kindness every day." This is his tribute, above all, to his father and mother. Asanga grew up to be a columnist and a commentator. That's his description. I think the category to which he belongs is journalism. He is a journalist, above all. But apart from being a journalist, he also was an administrator, as he stated a little while ago. Finally, in his career, during the last 3 years, from 2012, he was the executive director of the Lakshman Kadirgama Institute for International Relations and Strategic Studies. It is a multidisciplinary think tank. Asanga, shall I say, is a thinking journalist. Ideally, all journalists should think, but unfortunately that's not happened. They first write and then see what they have to say. So, Asanga is both a thinker and a writer. And the principal theme that runs through this book is peace and reconciliation. Peace and reconciliation. But apart from that, he has written on virtually every subject of importance under the sun: geopolitics, youth, women, poverty, foreign relations, information and communications technology, and so on and so forth. Asanga Abeyagoonasekera has taught himself quite clearly to think globally. Kuda Divainaha Loke Bhumi Pramanya Balot Ape Lankava Varga Pramanya Seat Ekatak Vada Adu Ape Rata Munchima Rata Ape Janagahanya Praktyan Balot ලෝක ජනගහනය බිලියන 7කට වැඩි අපි මිලියන 20යි. 100කට වඩා අඩුයි. So we belong to an island nation of some 20 million in a country which occupies less than 1% of the Earth's land area. So it is not surprising that very few of us have the kind of courage and intellectual daring to think globally. Asanga is one such person. And I really admire his capacity to think boldly. And he has called this book Towards a Better World Order. Towards a Better World Order. මේවයිසේදී මමත් මේ මාතෘකාවට මීට සමාන මාතෘකාවක් ගැන පොඩ්ඩක් බුද්ධියක් කළා. ඒක නම් කළේ Towards a Peaceful Sri Lanka. දාම පුංචි රටක පුංචි කටයුත්ත. Asanga Abeyagoonasekera. He can think big, he can think globally. And we ought to be proud of him because such people are so rare in our setup. I envy his sense of his cosmic overview, his sense of universe, his universal sense of history, the insights he brings to bear on the ancient problems of human governance. Now, as a journalist, he has learned, as I say, to think globally, but also independently. He values democracy, and an important aspect, if not indeed the essence of democracy, is freedom of thought. But Asanga does not have enough wealth to be really independent. And all journalists who are dependent for their livelihood on resources, either of the state or private individuals, cannot be truly independent. How do we understand the content of these excellent essays? Friends, I ask you to consider a very liberal question. As a journalist, what is the duty of a journalist? Prof.Carlo Fonseka. To that question, one reasonable answer is to say that the duty of a journalist is to report and comment on what is important to the world. Now, to put it that way, to report what is important is immediately to raise a number of questions. වැදගත් කාට? කුමක් සඳහා? මොන නිර්ණායක අනුවද තීරණය කරන්නේ මේක වැදගත් කියලා? වැදගත් දේ වාර්තා කිරීමයි පත්-කලාවේදියාගේ කාර්යභාරය. කාටද වැදගත්? කුමක් සඳහාද? The function of the journalist is to report and comment on what is important in the important events in the world. Important to whom? Important for what purpose? What are the criteria by which you judge importance? Well, the answer is not easy to give. If you think through the matter carefully, the answer has to be important for those who publish newspapers. Ultimately, to the owners of newspapers. What අයිතිකාරයින්ට වැදගත් දේ තමයි පළවන්නේ අවසාන විග්‍රහය. ඒ පුවත්පත් අයිතිකාරයෝ ධනපතියෝ සුපුරුවාදී වචනයක් පාවිච්චි කරනවා. So ඊට අමතරව රාජ්‍ය පවත්වන අයට වැදගත් දේ. ඒගොල්ලෝ වැදගත් කියලා සිතනවා. So it boils down to this. What is important and what will be published will be those happenings in the world which the powerful and the wealthy consider to be important. බලය පරිහරණය කර බලවතුන්ට සහ ධනවතුන්ට අවසානයේදී බලවතුන් වනාහි ධනවතුන්ගේ ධනවතුන් වනාහි බලවතුන්. The conclusion is inexorable. The conclusion is inexorable. The equation is simple. Wealth equals power. බලවතුන් සහ ධනවතුන් වැදගත් කියන දේ තමයි ජර්නලිස්ට්ලාට බලකරන්න සිදුවන්නේ අවසාන විග්‍රහයේදී තමාගේ රැකියාව සුරකිවතිය තබා ගැනීමට නම් අසංග ඒකෙන් ටිකයි වෙනස් වුණේ. එහි ප්‍රතිඵලයක් වශයෙන් ඔහුට ගෙදර යන්න සිද්ධ වුණා. ඒ අනුභවයෙන් මේ පොතක්වත් අනුගමනය පිළිවෙලා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒකයි සැබෑ තත්ත්වය. ඊළඟ විතර වෙන්නේ අවසාන වශයෙන් මට කියන්න තියෙන්නේ the world as presently constituted is not a world order. That is why we must work towards a better world order. The world is not a just place. We must work for a juster world. Now the essays themselves are very impressive prose. He writes with great simplicity, with great clarity, and with brevity. And his topics are wide-ranging, but even as he said 2 or 3 times, I would be disloyal to him and to my friend's son if I tell you everything about what he has written. Then you will have to pay me. So please buy yourself the book and read it. They are well worth reading. අවසාන වශයෙන් මට කියන්න තිබෙන්නේ මේ පොතේ අන්තර්ගතය ඉතාම සරල සමටල බසින් දීලා තිබෙන ඉංග්‍රීසි භාෂාවෙන් වුණත් අසංග මේවා සිංහලට පරිවර්තනය කරලා පළ කිරීම ගැන ටිකක් හිතා බලන්න. එතකොට මේකේ තියෙන වැදගත්කම ඊට වඩා විශාල ජනතාවකට කියවන්න අවස්ථාව ලැබෙනවා. එහෙම නේද අම්බුරට? ඒ නිසා මේ උත්සවයට මාවට ආරාධනා කෙරුවාට බොහොම ස්තුතියි. ඒ මහත්මයාගේ සෝතිද ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ සමග එකට මේ වේදිකාවේ සිටීමේ භාග්‍යය මට ඉතාම වටිනවා. අසංගයෙන් ඉන්නවටත් වඩා වටිනවා. ලොකු සතුටක් බව අවංකව කියන්න. ඔබ සියලු දෙනාටම සුබ සන්ධ්‍යාවක්.